All right, look. We are ranking every single level of getting high, and we're treating it exactly like a video game difficulty slider. From the sad, dry dirt weed you bought behind a gas station, to the laboratory-grade radioactive crystals that will literally factory reset your brain. We're grading everything on 3 stats: medical benefits, creative output, and how fast it completely deletes your grip on reality. So, let's start at the absolute bottom. The tutorial mode. CBD dominant, low THC. This is that 1 to 6% range. This is not the stuff that makes you stare at the microwave for an hour waiting for a pizza that isn't even in there. This is basically a software patch update for human anxiety. If you were just trying to get through some tedious front-end QA testing without throwing your monitor out the window, this is your tier. It doesn't add any crazy new features to your brain, it just fixes the bugs, turns down your internal screaming, and lets you chill. Moving up the slider to normal difficulty, the 10 to 20% THC mid-shelf. Welcome to the multiplayer zone. You want enough THC to make everything hilarious while you're gaming, but you still need enough CBD in the mix so your server doesn't crash. Because without CBD acting as your antivirus, you run the risk of greening out and manually checking your own pulse for 3 hours straight. But then, we crank the dial to hard mode, 20 to 35% premium flower. This is where we completely uninstall the medical benefits and boot up Imagination Land. These modern strains are genetically engineered to have 0 CBD. Smoking this is like allocating 100% of your brain's RAM to a single task, like figuring out how to tie your own shoes. You might invent the next big meme format, or you might get trapped on the couch fighting your own sleep paralysis demons. Total coin toss. Eventually, normal hardware just isn't enough. You enter the chemistry lab. Welcome to Ultra Nightmare Mode. Concentrates, wax, shatter, diamonds. This is like overclocking your brain's CPU until the cooling fans literally catch fire. You hit a 90% THC diamond and suddenly you're sweating like you just permanently deleted your entire hard drive with no backup. The real problem here? It corrupts your save file. It spikes your tolerance so fast that going back to regular flower feels like breathing plain air. But finally, you stumble into the final boss arena, the edible dimension. Edibles do not care about your lungs. They bypass your firewall and go straight to your liver, which converts the THC into a completely different, incredibly aggressive chemical compound. You aren't just turning up the volume anymore, you just redlined the master audio mixer on the decks and blew out the speakers. It stops being a fun high and turns into a high-stakes psychedelic survival mission. You are physically immobilized, glued to the furniture, having to manually remind your autonomic nervous system how to blink and breathe. So on the medical scale, 0. Creative output, 0. You can't even move. But entertainment, a terrifying 10 out of 10.